All right, welcome to the Eric Tries Too Hard podcast. This week we have Chris Hudson. How's it going, Chris?
How's it going, Eric?
Pretty good. Drank coffee, so I'm very manic right now. How about you?
Sweet. I pounded a Red Bull, so I'm gonna have so much anxiety that I might freak out.
Nice. All right, cool. So excellent. That's how I like. That's the atmosphere we try to produce here. But yeah, so you are a stand-up, right?
Yep, I do stand up comedy.
And how long have you been doing that for, man?
Close to 4 years now.
Oh, nice. So how old are you?
Yeah. I'm 26.
Okay, that mustache makes you look like you're 40, but a
hmm
really good-looking 40.
No, I've gotten that. The other week, somebody came up to me and they were like, when they heard I was 25, they were like, "I thought you were 35." And then I turned 26, and then now here we are.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good. That's exactly how this came about. So yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the first thing that got you? So you've been doing it 4 years. So math 22. What
Yeah.
got you to just start doing comedy?
I think it's something that I always wanted to do, and just nothing. I didn't get around to it till I was 22. I just did it in other ways that was not doing it.
Like what? That's very common, but yeah, like what?
Uh, well, I thought I was gonna be a writer. I thought I was gonna write a novel or something, and but I knew that obviously was not gonna happen. But like I tried doing it, and then a bunch of people were like, "You should do stand up," and I was like, "Okay, that's probably what I should do."
Oh, nice. So your career, you crowdsourced your career advice, and that took you to where you wanted to be.
Yeah, if enough people said, "Hey, you should do this," then you should probably do it, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
they,
very true. That's scary. Now that looking back, that's very true. All
yeah,
right, cool. What was the first moment? Were you always like into stand-up comedy?
yeah, I was always into stand up. As a kid, my mom watched a lot of stand up. I watched a lot of stand up, so it
What was
it
the
was
first big moment where you saw like a stand-up and you're like, whatever this thing is, it's amazing.
probably the one I remember is probably like George Carlin. But like I saw some of his earlier stuff because we had like these Reader Digest VHSs that I would watch. And Carlin was on a lot of them, and I always thought that he was, a genius. So that's not cliche. Carlin's a genius,
No,
guys.
that's. I don't want to step on any toes, but
Uh,
buckle
he,
up.
he he was pretty great.
But yeah, okay, cool. So you started off with a classic. That's nice. With one of the greats. That's good.
Yeah.
Were there any? I guess so. What year would that have been when you first got into
Um,
that? How young were you?
Shit, I don't know. Probably around 9/11 is when I remember everything.
Yeah, dude, I feel like I have all these theories on how 9/11 influenced culture with people who are I'm older. I'm what 3 years older than you, so we're around the same timeline for that. But like I feel like that clicked everybody's like brain online. Like that was that
Yeah.
moment where it was like, oh okay, now shit's real.
Yeah, everything is real. Everything that actually happened, and then you're like, okay, well, what now?
Yeah,
I guess I'll,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I guess
And
I'll
a
watch a
lot
lot
of
of
art.
VHSs.
Yep. And then a lot of I feel like a lot of artists were born in that where it was like I don't know they just felt like oh I need to express myself in some way. Um, yeah. Oh, well, that's really interesting. You brought that up. That's cool. Okay, so where do you like? How often do you go up? You're Baltimore based, right?
Yeah, yeah, Baltimore. I try to get up like at least like 3 times a week. I'm bad about it sometimes, but I try like really you should be going up 5 times a week, maybe even seven. I don't. I'm trying to think of how many days are in a week. As much as possible, but it's hard to like work and do stand up and then like have every night free.
Yeah, that's true. So when you I guess when you started going kind of like really heavy into stand up, did you abandon part of your social life for that?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it kind of becomes your social life in a way because your 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 friends, the ones that like you hang out with sometimes, they start morphing into stand-up comics, and then that takes up you know
Yeah. I bet
your
your
time.
friends are funnier now though.
That's up for
Deba-
debate.
that's debatable.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's
yeah.
debatable. I
I
don't
like
know.
that.
I still think my friends. I have some really good friends that I'm still friends with that I think are the funniest people in the world. So, um, it's hard to replace like your really good friends as being because I mean it's that thing where you like your the friends that you're really good friends with that you can make each other laugh really hard. Like it's hard to replace that, you know, because you know
Yeah.
each other so well that it's like it's hard to like bullshit and stand-up comedy is a lot about bullshit.
Yeah. So I've been doing like I'm not a comic by any means. I've
Yeah,
been doing music. I've been in bands like heavily for over 10 years now. And these last 3 or 4 years, I did make that change of like, okay, no, this is my social life, my hobby, and my aspiration. So it took
yeah,
up so much time. That makes me very happy when to hear about a lot of bullshit being in comedy because I can definitely relate to bullshit in an artist community. Believe me.
yeah.
Um, but it really does become like you find it. You're if you have your old friends who aren't into that same art form or into that community, you can lose contact with them because you're just that is your life.
Yeah, well, but it's also important to try to stay in contact with as many like you know like non-music or like non-comedy friends as possible because otherwise you turn out to be a weirdo.
You lose perspective fast.
Yeah, if all of my friends were only stand-up comics, I didn't have any other friends, I'd be really fucking weird.
Yeah. Do you know anybody who's like that?
uh,
You don't have to name names. I'm just the majority of the people who listen to this are people who have come over through music communities and stuff. So like
okay.
there are a lot of non-comics. So could you describe like a caricature of that type of person?
It's usually somebody. I mean, it's not so much weirdness. Usually, when people get married, they lose friends anyway because.
Nope. Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
I mean, just like your non-married friends. I mean, eventually can't relate to you anymore
Yeah.
because you know you can't be like, ah, my wife, and they're like, dude, like, you know, I live in a room with garbage in it. Like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Some rooms in my house are like that, but yes, go on.
But I don't know. It's I don't know. See now I'm like outing myself because I'm probably as weird. It doesn't matter if you have real like non whatever friends or not. You're just gonna be weird.
Yeah, you're just weird. Yeah, well, I feel like it depends on. So comedy's so interesting to me, especially in comparison to other art forms, in that you your stand up you do better the more honest you are typically, and so it ends up taking up your entire personality. But at the same time, even if you're just doing jokes, whatever, you're still every single moment of every single day you have an opportunity to improve your craft in
Yeah,
that the way that you're shaping your observations. So I imagine your mind can get very warped from that. But at the same time, it's
yeah.
got to be so tough because you still have to relate to an audience. So have you found any struggles between taking on the perspective of a comic, but at the same time trying to relate to quote unquote normal people?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean you don't know what's going to be relatable until you say it on stage in front of a room full of strangers, and they just stare at you and they're like, "What did you just say? I don't even what." And a lot of times you don't know. I mean, I think the more you do it, the better you get at telling like what is relatable and what's just you're being a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
I don't know, but every now and then I throw something out there that's just out of left field for everybody, and then you're just like, all right, well, I'm never gonna say that again to anybody ever.
Yeah. So do you find that most audiences, I guess you can you relate one audience to another? Do you is I guess what I'm asking is how do you have to gauge whether an audience's reaction is legitimate or not? Where you're like, well, that's just this group of people. It has nothing to do with my joke. It's
Uh,
these people.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of rare because
Yeah.
like I feel like you know with the internet and everything like and everyone has so much access to so much comedy that everyone's comedy IQ is already at least like average. I feel like even if you don't really watch comedy, so it's I rarely think it's like the audience's fault unless they're assholes. Then it is their fault.
Wow, that is so generous. Like here, because here's the difference. No, it is like I interpret. I used to interpret music this way. I don't think I do anymore, but I definitely interpret comedy in the sense of the more you experience with it, the better you get at having a sense of humor, even if you're not a funny person. Like the more you experience, the less you find funny,
Yeah.
or the more you enjoy really funny stuff. But like, that's like with a music audience.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've heard a very very successful band say the phrase "people hear with their eyes" is like, because that for a lot of music. As long as you look the part and you fit the genre that they like, it's not about them liking your band. It's about you playing a genre that a group of people like. They can forgive a lot of shitty music that you make, or a lot of cliche music that you make, stuff that isn't particularly innovative or interesting, because you're giving them what they already want, and you can usually tell that from certain crowds. But with a comedy audience, that hearing you say that, no, they're savvy. If they're already coming out to a comedy show, especially a comedy show with no famous people, they're already probably pretty savvy to the craft.
I mean, if they did it on purpose, if
Yeah.
if you, it's because there's so many situations where the host will go up and be like, all right, we're gonna do some stand-up, we're gonna do some jokes, and like there are people there who maybe didn't know that was happening,
Yeah.
or like they just walked in, or they came with their friend and they had no idea. So then you might get a little bit of a mixed bag. But even people who like don't have super high comedy IQs can still appreciate it.
Dude, that kind of reminds me of, I guess it would have been like in the middle of last year, probably like summer last year. I was visiting my sister in Boston, and our plans fell through for where we were going to go that night. And I was like, oh, let's look up some comedy clubs, see if anybody's performing. And Rich Voss was playing.
Nice.
Late, and I was like, oh, fuck yeah. So, and I'd never seen him before. And because we found out so late, it was like an added third show on like a Tuesday night at a hotel. And so
Tuesday night.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess he like sold out the first two, and then they were just like, yeah, whatever, we'll see the third show. So we get there, it's like 11 o'clock, and the place is 20, 30 of his fans, and then the rest of the place is packed, but it's clearly with people who the hotel just gave them free shit. I'm like, yeah, go do this. There's some free, fill up the seats. The amount of people he fucking reamed out for being like comedy idiots, or like people who left because they were really just shocked, was fucking great. Couldn't have been a better show. Like
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I don't know. But no, yeah, definitely people, because I always would think, like, how do people just stumble into a comedy show in this day and age? But that makes perfect sense. Like, if they're just given free shit, I'd go to something for free for 10 minutes if I was gonna.
Oh yeah, free shows. Free shows can be the worst sometimes because the audience there, they didn't pay any money, but they don't think about that. They just think, all right, like, do something. I'm here. It's free, but I'm still here, and this is still my time. And which, I mean, they kind of have a point, but still, it's like, at least give like a little bit of.
It's not like the comics are going up there and not telling jokes. Like, they're fulfilling the part of the bargain.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And a lot of times with especially like open mics and any free show, a lot of times the comics aren't getting paid. So
yeah,
it's
even when there are door sales, a lot of opening comics don't necessarily get paid.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, I've done shows where they've taken door and I didn't see a cent. But
yeah, where'd that go? Where'd that money go?
I don't know. They do something with it. I don't know what they do with it. I don't know. I mean, maybe they put new rims on their car, but like, that's none of my business.
All those baller-ass comedy club owners in this day and age. Actually, no, we are getting pretty good boom right now, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I feel like when I started, there wasn't really that much of a boom, and then all of a sudden it just started happening. Like, I don't know. I think it has a lot to do with like Hulu and Netflix and like a lot of these streaming services, and there's just so much available that everybody was like, oh, I want to do stand-up. Oh, I want to do stand-up.
Yeah.
And it's also like there's so many comedy series now, and I feel like there are less.
I guess with cost of production and and the fact that networks are not having nearly as many viewers as they used to, you end up having other avenues that are trying to produce shows. You have, I don't know, even networks are doing more comedy because I guess that they're finding that might be that's a cheaper way to get the same audience pull as a drama or an action series.
Yeah, but dramas have gotten really good too.
Yeah, holy shit! But those aren't even necessarily on networks; those are just on
Yeah.
cable stations. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
crazy.
Mhm.
That if we're in a comedy boom, then we're definitely in a television boom. This is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think television writing has ever been as good as it is now.
Like I used to, because I remember, and I don't know if you ever went through this. There were definitely periods of my life where, other than a couple of shows, I was like, "Oh, TV's kind of bullshit."
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't think that was me being an elitist. I think that there was a lot of shitty shit on TV, and so
Yeah.
now there's definitely not. Holy shit!
Yeah, well, it's like it's the same deal with comedy as with drama is that the audience just got savvier, and then they were just like, you can't just pass the same bullshit past them and be like, oh, this is good, right? I mean, I think it started with like The Sopranos, honestly, and
Oh yeah,
then it went from there, and then every other successful show kind of just was like, oh, we have to write scripts that are smart and deep and interesting and
how ballsy is The Sopranos to do, I guess, a serialized show the way they did it, or whatever, a continuing story show the way they did it, when there's no DVR, there's no DVDs of
yeah,
seasons. They're like, nope, you gotta watch. But granted, it was on HBO, so I'm sure they reran it a shit ton to get people caught up. But you didn't even have. I'd have to check the year, but we were only like 3 or 4 years probably into the TV Guide channel. Before then, everyone was actually purchasing TV guides. So like
yeah,
the balls of like having a show where if you miss an episode, it could probably deter someone from watching the rest of the season or the series. They're like, nope, fuck it. You got to be invested. You got to be just as invested as us.
yeah. It was, and then after that, after a few series like The Sopranos, both comedy and drama, then there was a huge DVD boom. Everybody was
Yeah.
just buying DVD seasons of stuff, and I mean that's definitely over. Like, why
Oh
would
yeah.
you
Well,
do that now?
dude, do you know the I learned this recently. That the start of that boom, the reason was like you can kind of pinpoint whatever like the big bang of that, which was Family Guy DVD sales because the show was off the air, had been off the air for a few years, and they put out the DVDs and it sold so crazy that all of these it was right when Adult Swim picked it up that Fox started like, no, fuck, we got to put all our shit on DVD. This is amazing, and then it kind of started a chain reaction. But the fact you can trace that
Yeah,
back to a cartoon that had been canceled like 6 times and hadn't
yeah,
been on the air in years is nuts.
yeah. Canceled 6 times, and now we have them forever.
That's something. That's dude. That I love. Did you ever watch that show?
Yeah, I watched Family Guy when it first started. I'm gonna make myself sound like a hipster, but I did watch Family Guy when it first started.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It got canceled a few times, and then I don't know. I just I got into weirder shit, and then I was like, nah, this doesn't really work for me anymore.
I always felt like they had something unique and then they satirized it like with the unique stuff to the point where it was just like, nope, it's all the stuff that makes us unique, and then it becomes
Yeah,
hack because you see it so fucking much.
yeah. And I think they play around with that, and I mean they're still on the air. They still have people watching. They have an enormous, incredibly crazy, giant fan base.
Well,
Um,
yeah, do you find that with your stand up, you ever? And I know you said you've only known it for 4 years, so but either
Yeah,
way,
around
do you,
4 years. 4 years is generous. If anyone's listening to
okay.
this, are close to 4 years,
I
like
like
we're
how
getting there.
I like how you assume anybody who like knows you is already listening to this. I don't
No.
think. No, I'm just kidding.
If
The
they do, and try to be like, no, it's not. Well, I don't know.
No,
I'm
yeah,
just kind
exactly.
of.
Yeah, I heard you on that podcast, man. No,
Uh,
anything that'll get you to retweet this when I post it is just fine. So we can cut all that out if you want. No, no, I was gonna ask, do you, for any of the things that you think not to intentionally make you sound arrogant, but any of the things that you think makes your comedy unique. Do you ever have or even just like a style of bit that you get a really good reaction to? Do you ever find yourself starting to craft the rest of your act around something that worked really, really well? Or do you think that there is a danger in that of like I mentioned with the Family Guy thing with oversaturating?
There is a danger of oversaturation. Like you can't just like. So I do. I mean, I do kind of stick with what works. I don't know. It's just it's something that I'm still kind of figuring out. But for example, I do some jokes. I do have some jokes about my mustache, which is kind of obvious. But I couldn't do I couldn't do like 10 minutes on that or like 20 minutes on my mustache. Like it would be too much, and people would be like, "This guy, he's not talking about anything. He just keeps talking about his mustache. Like we're kind of tired of it." And I don't know. You just
It's a long mustache ride.
yeah, yeah. And see if I just like did 20 minutes of that, people would be like,
Yeah.
this guy's bullshit."
But does it kill when you kind of open with it?
Yeah. I mean, because it's hard because it's like, what's the first thing that people are gonna think? You know, when you get on stage in front of them, they're gonna be like, there. I mean, there are a few things, and you try to figure out what that is, and then make jokes about it before unless otherwise it's gonna be on everyone's mind, and they're gonna be like, why isn't he talking about how weird he looks?
First time I saw Patton Oswalt, I was distracted by how short he was for a few minutes. I was like, wow. Okay, now I get why he opens every stand-up special with, "Hey, I'm short."
Yeah, or something about like I'm out of shape, or like I'm so lazy, and that's I don't know. But he's at a level where he doesn't really have to.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Everybody knows who he is, so he doesn't have to go up and go, "Guys, aren't I weird looking?" And it's like that would be weird if he did that. 'Cause people are like, "What? Are you gonna make talk about something?"
No, but yeah, okay, so that makes sense. No, that's interesting. So when what are the places that you usually go up at?
I go up at a lot of places. There are a lot of good rooms around Baltimore, and I go to DC occasionally, which is also fun. And I just go up wherever I can. Like if I'm for some reason in another town, I'll like try to find out where the open mics are.
Yeah. Dude, that's fucking awesome. I always used to love doing that as a band. If we were on tour and had like a stopover, just like hit up the bars and be like, "Can we play for a little bit?"
Yeah.
Play? Yeah.
And I mean, random people, like random comics that are in town, will like show up, and usually there's a way to get in on the action. I mean, usually people are cool, and will just like put you somewhere semi decent in a show. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of good rooms. I could give some examples. Sidebar is pretty solid. They have a Monday night comedy night, and I've done that pretty much since I started.
Oh wow.
That room, and there's some others. There's Coco Lane in Ellicott City is a really really solid one.
I love this. Is great. So I've today. This is the third podcast I've done.
Cool.
And all Baltimore people, and those are the first two that everybody says.
Well, because they're the most consistent rooms probably. They get the most consistent audiences. The audiences are always a little bit different. They're always not the same recycled people because that's
cool.
That would be terrible for everyone if.
Yeah, I always wondered about how that worked with the open mic process because I always hear, like whenever I talk to people, usually like from New York City, they'll say, "Yeah, there's some rooms that you do every week, but at the same time, it's like it's the same group of like 20 comedians or 10 comedians, and you find yourself telling the same jokes to the same people over and over again." And to me, that seems like it's really fucking hard to develop a bit. When you're, unless that's forcing you to tell it in different ways for the sake of telling it in different ways, and maybe you'll stumble onto something. It just seems like a recycled audience, like as you put it, is just a really toxic thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, like you said, it probably kind of forces you to actually work on the bit. Whereas if you're getting different audiences, you might be able to throw the same shit out there and see if it does anything But yeah, I mean, basically the only reason they're not recycled is the biggest reason that there is a comedy at open mic is because people want to do comedy. It's because people want to do stand up and they brought like five friends
Oh.
who, usually don't go to stand up shows and they're gonna watch their friend do their first time doing stand up, and so like, and sometimes that can be a really good audience because they're like, oh wow, they're like stand up comics that are not on TV,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
or that I don't have no idea who this person is, and they seem to, you know, pretend to.
They have a lot of good mustache jokes. A lot of good mustache jokes.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't even do mustache jokes, and then that's really when it gets fun.
Yeah. Oh man, that's fucking great.
Yeah.
All right. So, how much time do you usually do when you go up?
It depends on the mic, it's usually 5 to 7. That's pretty normal.
Yeah.
But
How much could you do? How much solid shit could you do if given the opportunity? I'm trying to get a gauge based on how long you've been doing it.
I could probably do I could probably do 30 to 45, and I mean, honestly, I mean, I have before, and I could do it again, but like, yes, 30 to
This always
45.
So this always intrigues me as somebody who's been in bands forever. The way you set up a good portion of your shows as a band is you end up with full control over the room. You either rent out the room or you tell the booker what you want to do, and if they think you're going to bring people in who are going to buy alcohol and possibly buy tickets, if it's a ticketed show, they'll let you just choose who goes on, when, how long they go up for, whatever it is, band wise. I always wonder why comedians don't just take it upon themselves to do that, even if it's not like a weekly thing.
What, you mean,
Um,
like run their own shows?
yeah, like, and I know people do that with open mics and stuff, but I'm saying, like, let's say you have 45 minutes and you're like, I can do 45 minutes. I can bring an audience every couple months or whatever. I know I could set up a show with the people I want to open up, assuming that you'd be headlining, and you want to do that. Why don't you think lesser known comics set up shows like that?
They do.
Oh, okay.
They do. I've had friends who have recorded albums.
That's what I kind of was thinking of, like for that purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would I'd be tempted to do that. I mean, I kind of am doing something like that on Thursday because like you're wondering, like, there are a bunch of comics in Baltimore that run their own shows that like do what they want with them. Pretty much, they can just do whatever. As like you said, as long as they get an audience. And I run a show at the Crown in Baltimore, and this upcoming Thursday, it's the first time that I'm not hosting the show and
Yeah.
like kind of doing that. I kind of booked myself, quote unquote, so I could tape my stand up. I didn't make myself the headliner. Because I said I can do 30 to 45, but like, some of that's going to be crowd work, so
Yeah.
you don't really need that on tape. But yeah, I mean, people do that. People book their own shows, making themselves the headliner to like record a CD or like work out 45 minutes, and it's not unusual.
Oh, okay. I just never heard. Are those shows not? I don't know. Like, I've just never.
Yeah, they're
I've
not
been-
promoted.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
like, I've been like obsessed with comedy forever, and I never really hear about that.
Yeah, if there's one thing comedians are bad at, it's promotion.
Dude, that's God damn it. Like the amount of like bullshit band stuff you have to do with the business side of things. Like the one silver lining in it is if I ever wanted to manage any artist, I'd know how. Like I'd actually have a really good handle on it because like trying to fucking promote a band is, I don't know, it's a fucking pain in the ass. So I get why comedians probably don't want to do that, especially as you said, if comedians are already kind of getting into this weird headspace. The last thing you want to start doing is thinking about things business mindedly.
Yeah, business is usually. I mean, there are some comedians that are very, very business minded. Maybe like a little bit too much. Like, they just started and they're like, I got a website. It's like,
Yeah.
who the hell are you? But
I gotta get dude. there's a local band who they do okay.
Yeah.
Like they play regionally some stuff. They can sell out smaller venues in the area like a couple times a year.
That's nice.
But they did. Oh yeah, no, that's God. I fucking this band I'm in now is doing really well, and now I'm like I have no interest in in trying to do it for a living, which is really funny. But like, anyway, no. But this other band. See, now what I'm doing is I'm getting insecure and making sure that my band is just as big as this other band, if not bigger.
But you don't want to do it seriously though.
But I don't want to say that out loud. I mean, come on. That would just be fucked up. No, but this other band, I guess a few months ago, they had a Facebook page, obviously, but they made individual Facebook fan pages for each member of the band. Which, if that was supposed to be funny and they just did it up, like, it would be hilarious. But no, I want to make sure our fans have each of us, they know who they want to follow. And what the fuck is going on?
Does each page have like a decent amount of followers?
No, it's like their main one has like thousands, but like the solo one maybe have like a couple hundred, and most of them are like me and other people in bands who are like, I gotta keep an eye on this. This is hilarious.
Oh man, that's crazy. I should also add to when I did the website thing. But who are you? Well, who am I? I have a website. Who am I? It doesn't like.
Yeah, well, you should though, because that's the thing that I've found is that every band or comic seems to have the same story of, I gradually, slowly built up a few fans, and then somebody famous or powerful heard me, found me, recommended me, and it's that. And so to me, it's less like trying to build up each individual fan, and more like when that one random ass celebrity or booker or whatever manager, whoever, record label person, decides I'm actually going to look into this band I just heard about.
Yeah.
That the shit's all in place.
Yeah.
That it's just in place, and I don't know.
No, that is a good point. I never thought of it that way. I always thought of it as well, who the fuck am I to like?
Well, that's such a comic idea though, because like not comic isn't funny, like a stand-up comics idea, because it's in stand-up comedy you obviously need a lot of confidence. But you also need, in order to get good enough that people are actually enjoying your material, you usually have to not only be funny to crowds, but to other comics. And a lot of that takes a lot of, self-awareness, which in music, you don't really need as much self-awareness. You honestly really don't.
Yeah.
And so you can get to these places where you're just a raving lunatic, and you think like, no, I need all of this stuff because any day now somebody is going to discover me. Whereas comedians are like, they're used to getting off stage and like having a room full of other comics bust their balls or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like you get knocked down a bunch of pegs every single night, so you don't really get that delusional. I hope.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I actually went up at Sidebar recently, and I kind of had like a meh set, and I got off, and my friend. There's a dog now in the podcast.
I was going to yell at her, but I'm more interested in your story.
No, it's cool. It's cool. We can have the dog chime in. I got off stage, and my friend was like, "Oh, dude, good job." And I was like, it was kind of meh. And he was like, within seconds, he was like, what are you going to do?
My turn.
It's just like, just within seconds, he was just like, you're right. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I don't know. I was there. I saw it.
I love that. I like the idea that in his mind, he was like, I'm going to do my buddy a favor. I'm going to be really nice, really empathetic. But then the second he like checked that box off, he's just like, well, fuck it again.
I don't know. What do you want me to tell you, Chris?
All right, well, I am... God damn. That's like my alarm clock. We're going to wrap up in about a minute. Could you give me any plugs for people to follow you on Twitter or go to your big, famous, big, expensive website because you're a big, famous, important guy? And any like projects coming up or places people can find you.
Okay. All right, we can start with we do some plugs. I have a website. It's chrishudson.co because the .com was too expensive. So
that M was real backbreaker.
It couldn't get the M. I don't know. Some douchey programmer had it, and then he got rid of it, and I tried to buy it, and it was like, I don't know, it was too expensive. So it's chrishudson.co, like a startup, because I'm a startup, and a stand-up. And on Twitter, it's at CW Hudson, because my middle name is William, and in 2007, I was like, this is clever, and it sucks. I wish I could change it. I've sent several emails to Twitter, and they're like, we don't know who you are. We're not gonna change it. Yeah, so it's at CW Hudson on Twitter, and I'm on Instagram. I don't know if anybody besides like girls use that. I don't know. Fuck. Or what?
And you can send me any links you have. I'll post them along with the.
Oh, but yeah, I run a show at the Crown, and when is this podcast? When do you put it up?
Some point in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. You still gonna be doing comedy then?
I'll be out of comedy. Would have quit out of disillusionment. No, okay, 4 to 6 weeks.
Maybe less. I don't. I'm about to have a kid, so like, there's gonna be a point where that's partially why I'm storing all these up. I've got like 16 just waiting to go up, so it could it could come up 2 weeks from now. Could be a month and a half.
Yeah, I hope I don't listen to this when it comes out and go, man, I've just fucking what's wrong with me?
What are you gonna do?
What was my deal? Yeah. There you go. Callbacks. I should be doing the callbacks.
Yeah, I know.
As well, but I'm not.
It's quite all right. I
can't. Yeah. Okay. So 4 to 6 weeks. The Charm City Comedy Festival will be happening soon in 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh shit! I can actually time. You know what I'll do? I'll time the Baltimore ones to align with that. Are you going to be there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be there.
Nice.
And I'll probably be doing a few shows at the Charm City Comedy Festival, which the schedule will be at charmcitycomedyfestival.com. So people should go to that because it's super fun. And I think a festival pass is only like $20 for like 4 days.
Nice.
$25 or whatever. And then, yeah, any shows, just check out chrishudson.co. I post them up there all the time because I think someone besides like 1 or 2 ex-girlfriends check it. So.
Well, at least you got them. This is what it's all for. All right, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, dude. I really appreciate it.
No problem, dude. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely, man. It was fun. All right, sweet. Well, I will post this in congruency with your festival dates.
Awesome.
All right, sweet, man. All right, well, I will catch you later. See ya.
All right, dude. See you.